Hello, this is Storybooks channel. New videos are posted every day. Subscribe and click the bell.
It was so quiet on the night streets that even the whispers seemed to be heard throughout the city. Adriana hadn't been this drunk in a long time. She walked with Michael in her arms, leaning against him so she wouldn't fall. She regretted wearing such enormous heels 100 times that evening. Sheh, she laughed. We'll wake up the whole neighborhood. Let them know we're having fun. Michael smiled back and grabbed her around the waist to keep her from falling. Careful. Damn paving stones. Almost home. I should have taken a cab a little longer. Thank you for this wonderful evening. Adriana hung around her young man's neck. Yeah, you danced like you were 18. My feet are gonna be sore tomorrow. My head will probably hurt too. Michael grinned unimportantly. The important thing is that I feel just fine now. If this is how we celebrated our one-year relationship, then imagine what it's going to be like in 10 years. Are you hoping 10 times harder? No, I'm getting drunk for our wedding. Adriana giggled and looked questioningly at Michael. She wondered how he would react to the prospect of marriage. In their year together, they had never once talked about it. I can imagine without interest, the boy said. This reaction did not satisfy the girl, and she decided to try a white dress again. Michael, knowing how sloppy you are at the table, I wouldn't put anything white on you. So you don't want to see me in a wedding dress? Not right now, Michael said with a frown. We have to get home even through the drunken fog. Adriana was a little upset by this answer. She, like most girls, dreamed of getting married and building a family. Her first marriage had been a failure. They hadn't even been able to make children. Now she was 30 years old, and she really hoped that life would give her a second chance with a good man. Michael was perfect for her. God, what was it Adriana said when she tripped over something again? Whose stuff is this? Michael's hands were spread. Where in the middle of the road did things come from? Adriana rubbed her eyes. There's the landlady, her boyfriend pronounced. A homeless woman was asleep on the bench, and next to her was a bag full of old clothes. Under her head was a guitar. That was all she needed. Adriana said unkindly, Why do you bother with her? The boy looked intently at the homeless woman. She was camped out in front of our house. So what? We have a nice neighborhood. Intelligent people live here, and suddenly such an outrage. Come on, you won't even remember her tomorrow. Michael supported Adriana. She could barely stand up. I almost twisted my ankle, and you're defending a bum. Adriana lowered herself onto a nearby bench and rubbed her leg. Let's see what's wrong with your ankle. Michael took her foot, undid the strap, the sandals, and watched her carefully. It hurts right here, the girl pressed her lips together. I can't see anything. Of course you can't see anything. You have to take an X-ray. The homeless woman tossed in her sleep and made noises. Adriana grimaced. How could that woman bring herself to such a state? I would never be like that. Little things had happened in her life, Michael pronounced. What difference does it make? It's no reason to sleep on the ground anyway. My leg hurts. Help me up. There seem to be some pain pills in the medicine cabinet at home. Give me a shoulder. I can't walk on my own. Adriana, leaning on her young man and on one leg, gently hopped up to the entrance. It had been such a nice evening, and this bum ruined it. She began while Michael took out his keys. Tomorrow we can call the police if she doesn't leave on her own. We will. Come on, get in the house. In the morning, Adriana woke up earlier than she wanted to. She was awakened by someone singing in the yard. She struggled to get up on the bed and felt a severe headache and an attack of nausea. Michael, she called without opening her eyes. The young man was asleep next to her. He didn't seem at all disturbed by the sounds coming from the street. Are you asleep? Adriana gave her boyfriend a gentle nudge, but he only snorted louder. Okay, I'll take care of it. The girl limped to the kitchen and poured herself a glass of water. She looked out the window, the blinding sunlight making her squeeze her eyes shut with pain. Across the street, she saw a homeless woman holding a guitar. The woman was singing songs and asking passersby for money, as if nothing had happened. Damn, she was ruining my second day in a row. We should definitely call the police. Adriana went back to bed and tried to go back to sleep, but neither earplugs nor a pillow helped distract her from the singing. After about 20 minutes, she sat up on the bed and woke Michael up determinedly. "What's the matter? Did you oversleep for work?" he asked. "Wake up," Adriana demanded. "What is it?" Still with a slurred tongue, asked the boy. "It's Sunday." "Exactly. It's a day off. We could have slept in till noon. And there's that bum singing." "What bum?" "The one you defended yesterday. What's she got to do with it?" Michael waved and wanted to go back to sleep, but he didn't. "Are you kidding me? Go deal with her." "What for? She can sing all she wants. Let her keep singing. I'm not going to listen to this all day. Who's the man here after all?" Adriana pulled the blanket off Michael. "Go talk to her. Let her go sing somewhere else, or at least call the police." "Okay, I'm coming. Don't swear." Michael reluctantly found his slippers under the bed, and feeling very crumpled, threw his robe on. Through the open kitchen window he shouted, "Hey, can you keep it down?" But there was no response. The homeless woman continued to sing. People had already gathered around her and were throwing money at her. Michael realized he wouldn't get anywhere and had to go downstairs. He changed his clothes, grabbed some garbage bags, and went outside. "A woman," he said. When he approached the homeless woman, "Could you keep it down a little bit? My girlfriend wants to sleep." "I'm sorry, I didn't know I was bothering anyone." The bum answered without stopping. "Playing the guitar in our apartment is very audible." Michael looked disgruntled, but it was already 9 o'clock in the morning. "I thought everyone was awake. You can wait at least another hour. Personally, you're not bothering me." In a whisper, Michael said, jumping closer to the woman, "My girlfriend is very angry today and asked you to stop playing. Of course, I can interrupt for a while. Let her sleep it off. And what do you have in your bags?" The homeless woman asked with interest. "Garbage, as I understand." "And what exactly?" "I don't know, food wrappers or something." "Can I see my garbage?" Michael looked at the homeless woman with surprise. "For you it is trash, but for me, maybe something useful." The homeless woman hesitantly took the garbage bag from Michael and opened it. "Really only yogurt boxes and eggshells. We have food at home." Reluctantly, Michael said, "Of course we usually have food at home." The homeless woman nodded. "Can I get you a sandwich? What about your girlfriend? Have I been the cause of your quarrel today anyway? I don't want to make it worse." "That's all right, she'll understand." "Why don't I throw this garbage in the trash? I'll get you a couple of sandwiches and warm tea. While you're eating, my girl will be asleep, and we'll solve two problems at once." "Are you a negotiator from God?" said the homeless woman and smiled. Michael was surprised to see how white her teeth were, but didn't pay much attention to it. He returned home and immediately met Adriana's questioning gaze. "What did you talk to her so long about? Like you asked, I told her not to sing for another hour. And she said yes. Can't you hear it's gotten quiet?" Indeed, Adriana took an aspirin tablet and put a cold, wet towel on her forehead. "I don't feel well without it. I'm going to go. I'll try to sleep some more. You go ahead, and I won't go to bed. I'm going to take a cool shower and feel better." When Adriana left, Michael opened the bread box and made some neat sandwiches with doctor's sausage in the refrigerator. He found the borscht that Adriana already wanted to pour, taking a thermos of tea with him. He silently opened the door and stepped outside. It was all me rounded eyes. "Bums. I even heated up some borscht for you." Michael held out the food to her. "To think I haven't had food this good in years. Thank you. You didn't just save me from starving to death. You gave me a real feast. It wasn't hard for me." "My name is Betty, by the way." The homeless woman introduced herself and sat down on the bench. "I'm Michael. Nice to meet you. You know, I've always wanted to sing. There's a lot of people passing by on this street. Somebody even put me on the internet once. Can you believe I'm 27 years old and I still dream of becoming famous? Isn't that funny? A homeless woman dreams of being a famous singer. You probably think that's stupid, don't you? I understand that everyone has a dream." "What is your dream?" Betty asked, making Michael think very hard. "I used to dream of being an oligarch." The guy grinned at you succeeded, judging by the neighborhood your apartment is in. It's nothing. I have a much richer acquaintance than myself. There's always someone richer than you. The homeless woman nodded and took up her tea sandwiches. I can't say I've had a brilliant career, but I don't have much to brag about either. In short, I won't distract you from your dinner. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Michael went home, and the homeless woman looked after him and was already devising a cunning plan. I don't think this dress suits me at all, said Adriana, twirling in front of the mirror. What don't you like? Michael asked. They'd been shopping for 2 hours, looking for the right dress for their friend's wedding. You showed me the exact same one online, and you called it perfect. It looked good on that girl in the picture. It doesn't look good on me. See, I look fat in this dress. You look beautiful. The guy smiled. You don't understand anything. In women's clothes. Adriana closed the fitting room curtain, and soon she showed up in her new dress. What do you think of this? Look, Adriana did some dance turns, and the long chiffon skirt fluttered beautifully. I like that. You liked it. What can I do if any dress looks chic on you? I need it to be perfect. Don't forget what important people we're going to see. Everyone will be dressed very nicely there. I know they will. They're my friends. Michael, by the way, you should get a tuxedo too, shouldn't you? I still have it from my last birthday party. No, you didn't. Adriana walked between the rows of dresses and picked out some more. You should have a tuxedo the same color as my dress. What if you chose a red tuxedo? Very elegant. No, let me go in the one I already have. I don't want to fill my head with an outfit. I like this dress better. Adriana came out of the fitting room again. Are you going to wear a black dress to the wedding this time? Michael looked at his girlfriend with surprise. It's not like I'm the bride. Why can't I? It's like a funeral. Shrugged the guy, you don't understand anything. Black is a very elegant color, and it goes with any event. I wouldn't want guests to come to my wedding wearing black. You don't know if you're going to have a wedding. With reproach in her voice, Adriana answered him and went back to change. What are you implying? That I'm not getting married. Suddenly, Michael noticed a homeless woman, Betty, outside the big store windows. She had her guitar out and was getting ready to start singing. Suddenly, Betty, noticing him happily, she waved her hand. I'm not insinuating, said Adriana from the fitting room. We discussed the wedding yesterday and came to nothing. Did we discuss anything last night? Yes. Michael, even though I was really drunk, I remember better than the bum started playing a slow romantic song. People were gathering around her. Suddenly, Michael noticed that she had a very pleasant voice and thought he would like to hear the rest of the song. How do you like that dress? Suddenly grew in front of it. Adriana seemed to come out of the ground. What am I saying? How do you like this white one you ordered? Adriana twirled in front of the boy in the puffy skirt. Very beautiful, Michael nodded, swaying to the beat of the song. Let's take it. I like that one. I guess I agree with you. Let's go to the checkout. I got it. All we have to do now is pick out some shoes and we can go home. We're going shopping for shoes too. Michael whistled in surprise. What did you want to do? Are you suggesting I go to the wedding barefoot? No, of course not. But you have some, don't you? I don't have any that fit. Adriana cut off and took her shopping to the cash register. Such a long skirt, you could go in sneakers. Mumbled to himself and followed his girlfriend. Michael came home from work at 7 p.m. and heard some swearing outside the window. He looked out the window and saw a homeless woman being harassed by thugs trying to take her money. Michael shouted at them from the window. They looked back and ran away. Betty yelled something about money. That meant they had managed to take her earnings. When Michael went outside to throw out the trash, he saw Betty sitting and crying on her bench. Did they rob you after all? Quietly, he asked. Yes, Betty wiped away her tears and held out her hand to the boy. Michael, bewildered, shook it. I am so sorry. I threw them out. As soon as I noticed you needed help. Thank you very much. It wasn't your fault. It's just that not all the people in this neighborhood are as good as you are. Michael returned home, but something was bothering him. He couldn't hear any music, which meant Betty was still crying. He opened the refrigerator, took out some cold cutlets, added a couple of slices of bread, and poured hot tea into a thermos. Is that for your supper? He held it out. Food, the homeless woman. Thank you very much. She happily accepted the gift and immediately opened the cellophane bag. You're welcome. It's a hard day for you, Michael said sympathetically. I don't know how to thank you. If you hadn't helped me today, I wouldn't have had any food. I don't mind. Michael smiled. I saw you at the store with your wife. That's my girlfriend. Her name is Adriana. Were you picking out a wedding dress? No, we're going to a wedding with some people I know. She had to choose what she was going to wear, and it took all day. I know if I had the chance, I would spend all day trying on clothes too. But unfortunately, I get kicked out of stores. What's with the wedding? Apparently, it's some kind of big event. It's not like my childhood friend is getting married, but they're not throwing a huge party. They're just gonna sit in a restaurant, that's all. I'm sure it'll be some kind of fancy restaurant. It's called Italy. It's out of town. Maybe you've heard of it? What kind of a bum would I be? And Betty put her head down. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be rude. That's all right. I know how I look. The mere fact that you come so close to me makes you look like a decent person. I understand that you're going through something in your life. No one wants to live on the street willingly, Michael nodded, making an effort to come even closer. The smell became unbearable. Yes, I had a family like everyone else. My husband was a lot like you, but one day it all came crashing down. Heavy, sighed Betty. So what happened? It's a long story. You probably don't have time to listen to it. Why not? Michael said, trying to be polite. Well, to make a long story short, I was married. I didn't work myself. I'd always wanted to be a singer, so I didn't make a lot of money. I always felt like some cool producer was going to pay attention to me. But there were so many young, good-looking competitors around that it wasn't my turn. I'm sorry. I heard you sing when we were in the store. Very nice voice. It was as if Betty hadn't heard Michael. Her thoughts were in her past. My husband died. He was a cab driver. Somehow he was speeding through town, and someone hit him and drove away. They never told me who it was. Somebody important, apparently. It's been downhill ever since. I can't pull myself together. I can't get a job. The depression knocked me out. What am I gonna do? I don't know. You didn't have an apartment. Why weren't you on the street? I was renting with my husband. I'm an orphan from the state. Never got an apartment. Yes, Michael sighed, not knowing what to say. It's all right. I'm used to it. Do you know how many places there are in town to sleep and stay warm? There's plenty. And when you have a house, you walk around and you don't notice anything around you. In the spring and summer, it's okay, but getting through the winter can be hard. I can imagine. We've been talking a lot. Betty caught up with me. I bet your girlfriend's going to give you a hard time. She's not home yet, but I really must be going. I promised I'd have the house cleaned by the time she got home. I'm very jealous of her. Finding a man who knows how to clean and agreeing to do it. Almost winning the lottery. Betty smiled and picked up her guitar. While there were still people outside, she had a chance to earn something. Restaurant Italia was full of very elegant guests. Adriana was right. These wives, the girls of millionaires, know how to dress expensive and tasteful. She felt uncomfortable in her simple dress. I told you to get that black one. She whispered in Michael's ear. What do you mean? About that dress, look how good everyone looks. Don't be silly. Adriana, you're the prettiest one here. Yeah, look at Camille. She's only been married to her millionaire for a month. And she already has 10-carat earrings. How do you know they're diamonds? I can see you're not blind. And there's Emily. Adriana stealthily pointed to the tall, slender girl. I've never seen her before. What? She's a famous model. She's probably dating one of the elite suitors. I feel out of place here, Michael. Adriana, just don't think about it. The gala's about to start, and the guests will all be forgotten. Have you seen the bride? Not yet. I think she's going to have a very expensive dress. If I were her, I'd spend all the groom's money. She's a very modest girl. At least, that's what the groom told me about her. Well, yes, modest. At first, when she has to charm him, she just pretends, and then she'll show her true face. Quietly they walk. Everyone turned toward the huge floral archway that stood near the entrance to the restaurant. A charming girl in a white dress with a huge train appeared in it. Adriana recognized her as a former channel host. She mentally invited the girl. "The newlyweds, we have a table for you right in the center." The master of ceremonies said happily. "Thank you all for coming," said the groom into the microphone. "Please eat. We have a whole menu at your service." The guests rustled and pushed their chairs. "In the meantime, you have your supper. I suggest we listen to some music," said the toastmaster, and nodded to the DJ. Light jazz began to play. At that time, a security guard at the door of the restaurant detained a girl who wanted to go inside. "Are you a guest? You're not on the list," the guard said squeamishly as he looked the stranger over. "So they forgot to put me in. Let me in, you mustn't." The guard put his arm out in front of me and blocked my passage. "How dare you do this to me? I'm under orders not to let any outsiders in." "Oh please, I'll just take one look and then I'll go out." "I won't even go near the table," the girl persuaded him. "It is not allowed," the guard repeated irritably. "All I have to do is to sing pleadingly." She looked him in the eye. "So you're a guest singer?" "Yes." Quick thinking, she lied. "So why didn't you say so before?" "I looked you up on the guest list." "Why are you dressed like that?" "It's my stage persona." Young people have strange taste in singers these days. "Come on in." The guard opened the door for her. She found herself in the luxurious hall of an expensive restaurant, but she did not intend to sit idly by. She had only one chance to prove herself, and she was going to use it. She quickly walked up to the master of ceremonies, snatched the microphone from him, and began to sing. The guests froze. No one knew what was going on. The DJ was the first to react. He thought she was a guest singer and put on a soundtrack that matched her song. The girl looked at him gratefully. The bride and groom looked at each other, trying to remember who had ordered the music. In the end, everyone settled into their seats and began to enjoy the stranger's singing. The girl was singing. She sang really well. She had chosen a difficult song in which to show her character and her strong voice. The guests began to clap to the beat of the song. Someone even got on the dance floor and started a slow dance. When the singer finished singing, there was a standing ovation, a great shout out from someone in the crowd. "Hey, isn't that the homeless girl who sang near our house?" asked suspiciously Adriana. "Why?" Michael was too engrossed in singing. "I asked if it looked like the same bum to you. She looks like it, sort of like." Michael got excited. "What is she doing here, Michael?" "Apparently she's a famous singer. Since the newlyweds booked her for their wedding." "What kind of a singer is she?" "I think she just walked in brazenly." "What are the guards doing?" "She smells. So I can't eat stop." "She's a talented girl with a complicated life situation." Finishing her song to the applause of the audience and questioning looks. The bride and groom went outside. "You lied to me," the security guard said. "There was no singer in the program." "It turns out that way." Betty shrugged and smiled. "Go on, get out of here." "You can't be here." "Where exactly?" At this wedding, the security guard looked sternly at the girl. "I'm standing on the street 1 meter from the restaurant. You can't chase me away from here." "I'll call the police," the guard threatened. "This is a public place. I'm a human being like you. I have a right to stand here." A group of men in tuxedos came out of the restaurant. They took out expensive cigars and sat down on chairs on the veranda. One of the men left his friends and approached Betty. "You sing beautifully," he said gallantly. "Thank you. I wanted so much for someone to appreciate my singing." "Forgive me for asking an indiscreet question, but why do you look like that?" "That's life," Betty replied with a chuckle. "Very creative. It added to the drama of your singing." "Let me introduce myself to you. My name is Ethan." "I'm Betty. I'd like you to sing to someone I know. He's a great music lover. He's having an event soon, an anniversary. If you could be there, we would be much obliged to you." "I would love to come," Betty said, and smiled. Ethan looked enthusiastically at her snow-white smile. "Has anyone ever told you that you're beautiful?" "Oh, stop it." The girl was embarrassed. "It's true, you are beautiful and talented. I'd like to get to know you better." "Are you making fun of me?" "No, I'm serious. There are so many beautiful girls around. Why did you pay attention to me? They're all boring." There's nothing in them but looks. Do you have some spark of God in you? So you're gonna turn me down for a date? I'd love to go out with you. Betty smiled again. I'm glad. Please leave your number and I'll call you and we'll make arrangements. You see, the thing is, I don't have a telephone. Oh yes, forgive me for my indelicacy. I was so caught up in your eyes that I didn't think of that. How can I meet you? Can you tell me where and what time I'll be there? Then let's meet in the center of the coastal restaurant. You know, of course, it's very beautiful there. That's good. I'll see you there tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. Betty said goodbye to Ethan and walked down the street dancing lightly. Her plan was a success. Persistence would make any obstacle disappear. Michael had already resigned himself to the fact that every morning in their family began with a scandal. And so it was this Saturday. I don't understand why you can't come on vacation with me. We already agreed. Adriana, you're like a little girl again. I have things to do, Michael said coldly. What kind of business? Actually, I have my own business. Exactly. You're the boss. Ask someone to stay in your place and come with me to the sea. I can't trust this important negotiation to anyone but myself, and I don't want to go alone. Adriana screamed so hard that her voice dropped. She nervously packed her bags and glanced at her young man. Okay, if he's not ready to marry her. But going on vacation apart was something abnormal for a couple in love. She didn't know how to talk him into it, so she resorted to her surest weapon. Tears. You just don't love me. Adriana cried. Stop it. And if you don't love me, why are we living together? I love you, Adriana. I can't tell. Look, you like living downtown in your own apartment. You like driving in an expensive car. Michael was starting to get nervous. What's that got to do with it? You have to earn money for all that. Adriana, you already have a lot of money. If you leave your business for a few days, nothing will change. Is that what you think? Look at this. Michael laid out the papers on the table in front of the girl. I don't understand what these are. These are contracts with our American suppliers. See? They're coming. I have to be in a meeting, and there's no way to reschedule them. You know, it's beginning to get tiresome. Michael sat down on the couch and covered his face with his hands. So I'm also boring you. Adriana pouted her already puffy lips. Now yes, you are tiring. Why don't you just go on vacation and enjoy the sea? You have a mistress. It suddenly dawned on Adriana. Where did you get that from in the first place? Michael was ready to run away from this ridiculous conversation. You see me off as if you want to stay in the city alone. So admit it, mistress. I don't have a mistress. Let me see your phone. Adriana took off her jacket and sat down in a chair. Did that mean she was going to stay home late? Why do you need my phone? I want to read your correspondence. Haven't you been told that's not polite? You don't want to give me your phone. So you have something to hide from me? Oh my God, Michael, get your phone out. Unlock the screen. Read all your work-related correspondence. Who's Evelyn? She's my accountant. She's 64 years old. Oh, that's good. What kind of person? Jenna texting you. Good night. This is my dentist. I had a toothache last week, and she advised me to rinse it out with baking soda. You remember her? You went to her for fillings once. I totally forgot. She weighs at least a ton. Well, there's no point in being jealous of her. Adriana quickly looked at the other chat rooms and found nothing of interest there. Okay, I believe you this time. Thank you. Michael took his phone and went into his office. You don't even want to say goodbye to me? You know, that jealousy scene of yours was very unpleasant. Put yourself in my shoes. You'd think I was here to talk to someone too. If I were to send you away alone on vacation, I, unlike you, trust people. Or do you just not like me? Adriana folded her arms across her chest in anger. Michael answered nothing, but closed the doors of his office in front of her. When Adriana finally left, he exhaled. There came a time in their relationship when he doubted he needed Adriana at all. As arranged, Betty stood outside the entrance of the restaurant, nervously waiting for her beau. She'd already had time to think he was just kidding and wouldn't come. Suddenly, a beautiful black car pulled up next to her. Ethan got out. Hi, am I late, Colin? He asked. It's no big deal. Just a few minutes. I'm sorry. My driver couldn't get his bearings and we passed a curve. Are you ready for something nice for dinner? Of course I am. Betty nodded and Ethan gave her a hand. Just a moment, the security guard at the entrance stopped them. What's the matter? We had a reservation. Ethan laughed, considering it an unpleasant misunderstanding. You can't go in dressed like that, the guard said. I didn't know you had a dress code here, the man said. We have the same appearance requirements as other restaurants. Visitors are only allowed in clean and tidy clothes. Ethan, Betty reacted calmly to the situation. That's all right. We'll come back another time. No, I come here often, and I hate that they don't let their regular customer in. But I wasn't here, Betty said pitifully. Please, let's go to a simpler place for dinner. It's not like that. I have a plan. The millionaire opened the door of his car in front of Betty. We'll be back. Don't cancel our reservation, he said. To the security guard over his shoulder, they drove a few blocks and stopped outside a mall. Even there, at the entrance, the guard squinted at Betty, but said nothing when he saw a very expensive dressed man next to her in What Would You? Did you feel like going to a restaurant tonight? Ethan asked. I have no money for anything. This is a gift. So what are you wearing? I am very embarrassed. I'm not used to getting gifts like that from men. I'd probably go with a dress. Then let's go into this department and try something on. Ethan opened the heavy glass door. Betty found herself in the midst of a fancy variety of evening dresses. Can I help you? The girl, a consultant, came over and stared questioningly at the homeless woman. We want to pick up a dress for my girlfriend. Not the least bit embarrassed, replied Millionaire. Well, confused saleswoman. What would you like? He asked his companion. Probably black and strict. We have a large selection of simple dresses, said the saleswoman, and led them to the racks at the end of the hall. I like this one. Betty touched the expensive fabric. Only it must be very expensive. Go try it on, Ethan said, and sat down in a chair in the hall. Just come out of the fitting room and show yourself to me. Betty went into the fitting room and didn't immediately know what to put where. She stripped down to her underwear and looked at herself in the mirror. It was sad to look at that body. Once beautiful, trim. Now it was all dirty and covered in abrasions. With difficulty, she managed the zipper, opened the curtain, and stepped out into the hall. Ethan looked at her in surprise. Black suits you so well, he said. We have the same model in red, the salesgirl said. I think it is very beautiful. I would like to buy it. Betty said modestly, lowering her eyes. Then we'll take it, and put some more shoes and jewelry on it. I can suggest black patent leather pumps and gold earrings. The saleswoman took it all to the register, and Ethan paid the check on his way out of the mall. Ethan stopped abruptly. Look, there's a barber shop over there. You'd like to freshen up your hair. Would you say freshen up too? It's been 5 years since I've been to a beauty salon. I don't even have a place to wash my hair. Betty sighed heavily. It's settled then. Let's go in and get your hair done. It's embarrassing. They'll refuse to serve me. Let them just try, said the millionaire and resolutely opened the doors of the barber shop. Good evening. My girlfriend would like to do your hair, but we do not have an appointment. The hairdressers looked at Betty. Their faces showed the disdain she had grown accustomed to. So someone will be able to help us. Let me do it. One hairdresser stood up from her seat. The others looked at her in bewilderment. That's fine. I'll be back in an hour, Ethan said. He counted out some bills to Betty. And you have fun. Don't deny yourself anything. The hairdresser invited Betty to sit in a chair, undid her unpleasant bundle on her head, and examined her hair. We'll do the grooming and wash your hair, and then I'll cut and dry it for you, she said and went about her business. Thank you very much, shyly said Betty. It's my job. It's thank you for taking me on. I know how uncomfortable this is for you, don't you? Not at all. I love helping people. I grew up in an orphanage and I've seen it all. Why not help someone else now? Would you like some coffee? I'll put a mask on for you. Am I from an orphanage too? Betty smiled at the cute girl, the stylist. The time at the beauty salon flew by. And when Ethan walked in, an hour later he didn't recognize Betty. "My God, what kind of beauty is this gorgeous girl with gorgeous hair?" he said, completely embarrassing his friend. "Thank you very much," Betty said and paid the master. "Now let's go to the restaurant." Ethan held out his hand, and Betty grasped it awkwardly. "I'm afraid we'll be kicked out again." She whispered, "You don't look like the girl you were a few hours ago. The guard is more likely to think I found another girl." They pulled up in front of the restaurant. Betty was shaking. She was accustomed to this kind of attitude from people. But she didn't want to have to go after him on purpose. "We have reservations." Ethan addressed the guard again. Betty was relieved to notice that while they were going about their business, the guard had changed, and now there was another man standing there, whose name was Ethan for two. "Yes, that's right." "Did they reserve you a table by the window with a better view?" "Come in, let me take your outerwear." The security guard bustled around them. Ethan looked at Betty and winked at her, and the girl finally relaxed. "You're so busy with business. Your secretary could barely find time for me." Michael laughed and raised his glass. "Let's drink to the fact that we are doing very well." "Come on," Ethan agreed. "Indeed, my schedule is full right now. I'm grateful to you for getting me out to drink wine. Otherwise, I'd still be in my office all night." There were hardly any customers at the bar where they were drinking. It was a small place in a secluded place just for people. To get into this bar, you had to be a member of a special community, which included only successful businessmen. For many girls, it was a dream to be here. But everyone who came in was carefully screened. "I heard you had a fight with Adriana. Did you have a serious fight?" Ethan asked Michael. "I don't know. She's always fighting. I'm sick of it. The wedding is off." Michael seemed to have been obsessed with the family business some time ago. He had inherited a small business from his father, and he wanted to pass it on to his children. Adriana seemed like the right girl to be his wife, but the more he lived with her, the more he doubted it. "I think you need an easier girl," Ethan said. "Not that simple." "Is this where you met Adriana?" "At a party." "How did she get in?" "Because it was a private party, and the entrance was for insiders only." "I don't know, maybe someone invited her." "I don't think she was easy. A girl who could get into an event like this." "You think she's after millionaires?" Perplexed, Michael asked. "Maybe she is. And then how do you find the girl?" "I wouldn't just walk up in the street and meet the first woman I saw." "Why not?" "I did it," Ethan bragged. "What? Who did you meet?" "Tell me. What's there to tell?" "We've only been on one date. She's cute. If she wasn't cute, would I really go out with her? I'm a philanthropist, but I'm not that philanthropic." "Where did you two meet?" "At a restaurant wedding. The wedding that was that weekend. I don't remember there being any girls available. Maybe you weren't paying attention, but there was this cute, single girl who sang beautifully." "She did." "You went on a date with that hobo singer." "What kind of attitude is that?" Ethan got indignant and put his glass on the table loudly. "I'm sorry, I didn't know you were so serious with her. You're judging people by their looks again. She's been through a very hard time. She's got a terrific personality. And most of all, she's very talented. Come on, don't be offended, buddy. Maybe you could raise her to be a star. She'd be a star on her own without my help. It's not her social standing that's holding her back, it's her modesty." "That's a lot of modesty, breaking into someone else's wedding and singing there." Michael whistled. "I think it was a sign of desperation. She didn't know how else to get attention and thought there would be some producers among us who would notice her and help her make a career." "You're not a producer, are you?" "No, but I know one." Ethan smiled. "Will you really take on her career?" Michael continued to wonder why not. "She has a beautiful voice, she's very pretty. I could see her pretty face, even when she was in her rags. And when I changed her clothes and took her to the hairdressers, she was a beauty. I'm curious to see what she looks like." "Well, that's your business and your personal life. But I think it would be noble if you helped her. Then let's drink to nobility." The friends raised their glasses and drank the wine. "By the way, you can see her. I'm having a party soon to celebrate the 10th anniversary of my business. Come, I invite you. I'll definitely be there." Michael shook Ethan's hand. The white boat pulled away from the water and immediately switched on all the lights and loud music. Waitresses were dressed in leotards and passed out champagne. "It's good to see you." Ethan hugged Michael. "Who are you with?" "I'm alone tonight." "Did you and Adriana decide to take a break after all?" "Yeah, I need to think." "Good for you. Maybe you'll find someone here tonight." "Look at all these hotties." "I'm not in the mood for a girl. I just want to get really drunk on champagne and not think about anything." "I can do that." Ethan called the waitress over and took a few glasses from her. He and Michael drank, crinkling the bubbles. Some young girl immediately approached them and tried to start a conversation. "Are you the owner of the boat?" she asked in a high-pitched voice. Her cleavage was so deep, it was hard to look anywhere else. "Yes, this is my boat," Ethan nodded. "My name is Kathy." "Kathy, does your mother know you're here?" "No, why would she know that?" "Because you, Kathy, are 18 years old at most, and you can only come to an event like this at such a young age with parental permission." "You guessed it. I'm 18 and could have worn a more modest dress," Michael said, and turned away to the buffet. He was more interested in the food today than the girls. "If there's something to show, why hide it?" Kathy laughed. "And really, why aren't we all walking around naked here? Are you funny? Don't waste your time here. You won't find a millionaire on this boat." "What makes you say that?" "I'm not pretty enough. Millionaires are smart people. They will not be interested in beauty and youth alone." Ethan grinned and went to get appetizers. At that moment, the music stopped. A voice from upstairs asked everyone to take their seats at the tables. My favorite part was about to start. Ethan smiled and elbowed his friend. "What is it?" Michael was surprised. "There's going to be a performance. I ordered live music." A duo came on stage with a saxophone, and another man sat down at the piano. The lights were dimmed and they began to play. The tune was so tender and romantic that some couples in the audience began to dance. When the duo finished on stage, the entertainer came out and said hello to everyone. "And the next number on our program will be a young singer. This is her first performance, so she is very nervous. I ask you to give her a big round of applause on this stage." "Betty." The audience applauded. A beautiful, fragile girl in a silver dress appeared on the stage. "Is that what she whispered to Michael? And I told you I never would have thought." Betty took the first notes, and the audience froze in delight. She sang a slow song, and she felt as if she were about to cry from the feelings that overwhelmed her. Michael looked at the stage as if hypnotized. "Do you like it?" asked his friend. "She has such a magical voice. She's magical herself. If you were alone with her, you would realize that there is no one like her." "You're right, she really is beautiful. I think it will work out with her," Ethan said. But Michael didn't hear him. He was too amazed by what he saw on stage. After the performance, the audience gave Betty a real ovation. "I'm going to get some more drinks." Quickly, Michael spoke and ran off to the other end of the deck. On his way to the dressing room, he caught up with Betty. "You sing so divinely," he said, out of breath. "Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Is that you?" "Yes, that's me." "You remember me. I will never forget you, Michael. You didn't let me die of hunger. I'll be grateful to you for that for the rest of my life. How would you like to get off this boat and celebrate your first performance?" "How does one escape from a yacht?" "There's nothing I can't do, as long as you agree to have dinner with me." "Of course, I'd be delighted. If you would enjoy spending time with me, I would repay you for your generosity." "It's settled. Come with me." The guy took the girl to the lower deck and called someone. A few minutes later, a boat came to pick them up. "Shouldn't we say goodbye to Ethan?" Michael asked. "Betty, no. He is too busy right now. There are so many girls around him that he won't notice our absence." "He has a girlfriend." "No, but he's a rather windy fellow. Strangely enough, he gave me the impression of a very serious man." Betty said sadly. "But since you say that he has lots of girls there and that really he won't notice our absence." The girl climbed into the boat that took them ashore. Betty herself did not remember how it happened that she woke up in the same bed with Michael. First, they went to a restaurant, then they bought a bottle of wine and went for a walk through the night city. At some point, they came to a place where Betty was sitting with her guitar, trying to earn her own bread. "Do you want to come over to my place?" "I don't mind, but as I recall, you have a girlfriend." Michael was embarrassed. I did have a long relationship, but now we've had a fight. I'm going to break up with her, but I haven't broken up with her yet. She's already moved on from me. I think she understands where this is going too. In that case, I'd like to come in, get warm. That's how they ended up at Michael's apartment. Betty was immediately impressed by its size. She had no idea that some people lived so luxuriously. They talked about music for a while. Then he asked her to dance. And so, unnoticed, they ended up in the bedroom. Betty woke up first and found her concert dress lying on the floor, and her face in the mirror, a disheveled face with smeared makeup. She quickly ran to the bathroom to clean herself up. At that moment, a noise was heard and the door to the apartment opened. A woman's voice called out to Michael. "Michael, are you home?" Betty froze, not knowing what to do. "I know you're home. Your car is around the corner and your keys are on the nightstand. If you don't want to answer me, then don't. Then just listen to me." The girl walked past the bathroom and stopped in the living room. She unzipped her suitcase and began laying out her things on the couch. "I'm not going anywhere. That was silly. That you and I decided to live apart. I realized that I couldn't live without you, and that you and I were made for each other." "What are you doing here?" A sleepy Michael came out of the bedroom and bumped into Adriana. "I've come to start over. You didn't forget to warn me. I'm sorry. I didn't think I could get in your way. I think I woke you up. And anyway, when you're going to come and visit me, you should say so beforehand. I believe this house is still my home too." Adriana took her things out of her suitcase and followed her bag into the hallway. "Don't you want to ask my opinion? Maybe I'm not going to renew our relationship. I know you're still mad at me, but I assure you I can earn your forgiveness. No more scandals. I promise." "Wait." Michael called out to her, but it was too late. Adriana opened the bathroom door and froze when she saw Betty there. "Who is she?" Adriana asked. "My private life. It's none of your business." Michael answered her rudely. "You are cheating on me." "Cheating? Is it okay that you and I broke up?" "We didn't break up. I said I needed time to think about things. And you brought home a girl right away. I'd better go," quietly said Betty. "Don't bother. It's rather time for me to go," said Adriana, and started shoving her things back into the suitcase. Suddenly, she was thinking about something. She walked over to Betty and looked at her carefully. "What is it?" "You remind me of someone," Adriana said. "We might have met somewhere before. I don't remember you. Maybe you're one of those millionaire hunters. I might have seen you at parties before." "No, I wasn't there. But your face is very familiar." "Wait a minute, you weren't the one singing under our window." "Yes, I was, with a blink of an eye," said Betty. "That's a good one. So you slept with a bum." "Don't say that." Michael intervened. You can see that Betty is an ordinary girl now. But she was homeless and begging on that bench over there. "I didn't think you'd sink like that." "I'm sorry, but I didn't insult you," Betty pointed out. "You just slept with your boyfriend." "Slut. I didn't know you were still together." "Michael said you broke up and we didn't." "Now get the hell out of my house so I never have to see you again. If I had known you were still in a relationship, there's no way I would have gotten into your personal life." Betty ran out of the bathroom and hastily put on her concert dress. Adriana had been standing over her the whole time. "Of course, I've seen a lot of guys like you. You'll find a richer man. And a wife is not a wall. You can move her." "I wasn't going to move anybody." "Have a nice day." Betty hurried past Michael without giving him a chance to explain himself. "I didn't expect that from you. I was hoping you'd miss me, and you immediately found someone to have fun with. You and I have nothing else. We are different people, Adriana." "That's not true. Do you still love me?" "I can see in your eyes the way you look at me." "I look at you like a man who has just hurt an innocent girl. You don't seem to know anything about girls. I saved you from a dangerous mercenary. You should be grateful to me. Let's go for a walk." Adriana sat down next to Michael and stroked his hair. "Get off," he pulled away. "But I forgive you for cheating." "It's not cheating. You and I are over." "Oh, well, that's right." "All right, when you come crawling back to me to apologize, don't expect me to come back to you." Adriana stuffed her things into her bag and defiantly slammed the door loudly. Betty was wandering somewhere in the woods. lost between the tall fences on one side and the trees on the other. She knew Ethan lived somewhere in one of those houses, and she hoped she could find her way around, or ask one of the passersby. But there were no passersby. The guards looked at her from behind closed gates. "Hello, I'm looking for Ethan." "There aren't any," the guard said. "Maybe I have the wrong house." "Maybe, but another owner lives here. Do you know how I can find him?" "I don't." The guard closed the gate right in front of Betty's nose. She sighed heavily and walked over to the man near the other fence. "Tell me, is this Ethan's house?" "No," replied the guard, who looked just like the first one. "How am I supposed to find him?" "He's not here." The guard slammed the door in her face. "Yes, it would take me a week to find so many houses here." The guard called out to her as she was about to leave. "What's your relation to him?" "I'm just a friend of his. I was unkind to him, and I want to apologize. He lives in that house." The man pointed to the huge mansion across the street. "Thank you," Betty said. And she went to that house. At the entrance, she was greeted, as usual, by an unfriendly man about 6 feet tall. "Who are you looking for?" "Bass," he asked. "I am to see Ethan." "Is he expecting you?" "I don't know, maybe he is." "How's that?" "I don't know." "If you have an appointment, what time and what name?" "I don't have an appointment. That's no way to do business." The guard slammed his notebook with a list of names in it. "If you want to talk to the boss, make an appointment with the receptionist." Ethan said this to me, appearing on the lawn outside his house. A security guard let her through, opened the heavy gate, and Betty walked through. Her heels sank into the ground. She was still wearing that same concert dress. "Did you run away from the party so fast?" Ethan pronounced and helped her to the porch. "I thought I'd never see you again." "I'm sorry, Ethan. I was rude." "You arranged for me to speak. And I didn't even thank you. I don't need your gratitude. Come in, please." Betty walked into the lavish mansion, where everything glistened from gold to refinished marble tiles. "Would you like something to drink?" "I'd like to eat," Betty confessed embarrassedly. "Where are you living now?" "I was renting a room in a hostel. And then I ran out of money from the gig, so now I don't live anywhere." "That's awful. Do you want to stay at my place?" Ethan looked at her sympathetically. "I must say I didn't expect you to make me feel so welcome. I was afraid I would have to apologize, and you would never forgive me." "For what?" "For leaving you on the boat, for running off with your friend." "With Michael?" "Yeah, I wanted to talk to you, to thank you for everything. But Michael said you were too busy with the girls and I shouldn't bother you." "How stupid is that? No girls were there. I was waiting for you to come out after the show to introduce you to your friends. A friend of mine liked your performance so much that he wanted to ask you to sing on his TV show." "Yes, he owns his own TV channel and recently launched a talent show. I'd really like to perform there, but it probably wouldn't be fair to you. The thing is, I spent that night at Michael's." That's how Ethan shook his head. "I didn't want to, but it just happened. He and I chatted sweetly at first, and then we went over to his place. We had a drink. You don't have to explain yourself, do you? I know how it usually goes, so I just wanted to apologize to you. I realize that your invitation to stay here is no longer valid." "Why not?" Ethan stood up and poured himself a whiskey. "I don't like the way you've treated my feelings. But you're still a very talented girl, and I want to help you, don't you?" "Yes, you can stay at my place. I'll give you a room, and you'll live there until you can get your own apartment." "That's very noble of you. I'm not trying to be noble. You see, I never thought I'd love anyone for the second time in my life. But then a miracle happened. That night you spent with my friend, you dashed all my hopes. I guess I'll be a bachelor for a while longer. I didn't mean to hurt you. Do you have feelings for Michael?" "I don't feel comfortable discussing it. It's only fair if I'm at least in the loop." "I guess I do." Betty shrugged and looked embarrassed. "So you love him?" "I guess I do." "I figured you did," Ethan said and drank his glass in a gulp. "I noticed him the first time you brought me food. He was so gallant. We even had a little talk. I didn't let myself think about him, because who he was, who I was. But now that he showed interest in me, I couldn't resist his charm. I see he just broke up with the girl he didn't. Are you saying he lied to me?" "He lied to both of us," Betty said, barely able to hold back her tears. Ethan held out a handkerchief to her. "I don't understand anything. Just yesterday, we were discussing with him his breakup with his girlfriend. And now you tell me they're back together? Maybe there's something you don't understand. It was hard not to. We ran into her in the bathroom this morning. She was yelling at me and saying she was still in a relationship with Michael. She would have said so right away," Ethan laughed. "Adriana is a very particular girl. She thinks things are going to work out the way she wants them to. But Michael has a temper too. I don't think he will go back to her. So you're saying he's free?" "Of course he's free. He and I are best friends, and he wouldn't lie to me." Betty stared thoughtfully at one point, and a tear rolled down her cheek. Michael was sitting in the bedroom, drinking a beer, looking at his phone screen. There were several missed calls from Adriana. She kept texting him, which he didn't answer. He hated to break her heart, but he just couldn't go on living with her. A light tune played in the courtyard. Michael chuckled at how this sad song got him in the mood. But then he realized and looked out the window in front of his house. On the same bench, Betty was sitting and playing her guitar. A crowd was quickly gathering around her. Without thinking long, Michael threw on his jacket and ran outside. Betty began to sing. The people around her took out their phones to video her. It looked really spectacular. A beautiful girl in a silver dress playing the guitar and singing a very sensual song. "You're gorgeous," Michael said. When Betty finished and bowed to the audience, "Thank you. This song is dedicated to you. I didn't listen to the words, but to the music. I've had a problem since I was a kid. Maybe you can tell me what this song is about. It's about a girl and a boy who have feelings between them and take them to a magical land." "That's right about me. I wanted to apologize to you for the scandal this morning. It was my fault. I should have taken Adriana's keys or changed the lock. But I didn't think she'd just barge in like that. You told me the truth. You two broke up. Yes, almost right after that wedding where you first sang, I believe you. So you're a free man now. You could say that. I mean, not quite free." "No, I'm not. I'm not in a relationship, but I'm in love with a beautiful girl," Michael said. And he came closer. "What kind of girl is that?" Betty smiled. "She is very beautiful and talented. And she has an infectious laugh. Will you introduce me to her?" "I will." Michael took another step forward, hugged Betty, and kissed her. The audience applauded. An elderly woman standing nearby even shed a tear. "This is what real art does," she said, and went about her business.